All praise is due to Allah, the one and only, the creator of the heavens and the earth, the one in whom we seek guidance, and the one in whom we seek refuge from our evil actions and from the evil within ourselves. And whomever Allah has guided, no one could mislead. And whomever Allah has led astray, no one can guide. And I bear witness and testify that there is none worthy of worship except Allah, and that Prophet Muhammad is His servant and messenger. My dearly respected brothers and sisters in Islam, I wanted to share with you a reminder about the actions that we are already going to do every day, and it is our daily prayers. An action that Allah has commanded us that we should do. So I want you to stop for a moment and ask yourselves, how do I perform this action? When you perform that action, is your mind and heart involved in that action, or are you thinking about what you have to do later? When you stand there in prayer, are you reciting the verses of Allah? Or are you simply just thinking about going to your restaurant, about going to your car lot, about going to your job? Are you thinking about Allah and the reward that He has promised for those who worship Him? Or are you thinking about the matters of dunya? Dunya is this worldly life. At any moment it can be taken away from us. So how can you break away from such a thing? Look at the wisdom behind how prayers are obligatory. What happens when the time for dhuhr, for example, comes in? Do you just hear the call to prayer, the adhan, and now we immediately pray? No. When you hear the call to prayer, the first words, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allah is the greatest, Allah is the greatest, or He is greater than whatever it is you're doing. You should already start to detach yourself from these worldly distractions. It's important to work and to provide for your families and to provide for your communities. But it does not come at the cost of your relationship with Allah. You should stop and think about, let me repeat the adhan, the call to prayer. Let me go and make my wudu, the purification before the salah. Let me make it properly, where I'm not just quickly splashing water all over the place. So that I can see my sins drop down with the water that drips off my hands and my elbows and my face. Think about the 2 units of prayer, the 2 rak'ah that you do before the salah. If you follow one act of worship with another act of worship, you're not going to be in a hurry. You're going to say, I need to cut this amount of time out so I can go and perform my salah. But if you just quickly jump off of the grill when you're working at the restaurant, make my salatul dhuhr, and now quickly I'm back into work again. Did your heart feel anything? Did you increase in faith? The salah is there to protect you. It's there to aid you and to help you. If you continue in that, wallah, you're going to have one of the most stress-filled lives if you continue in that way. Because the job here is never finished. It's never done. There's always more the next day. When you finally go to offer the fariḍah prayer, the obligatory prayer, you have already done some things before. And even when you're in that prayer, you know that after you're going to do more worship. So you're not going to be in a hurry. Because you know afterwards, you say the tasbih. You say glory be to Allah. You praise Allah. You thank Allah. You ask for His forgiveness. And if you think that praying 2 rak'ahs are not valuable, these 2 units of prayers, in an authentic narration it was said that the Prophet ﷺ, he woke up one day and he called for Bilal. Bilal, as you know, was from Ethiopia. He was captured and taken as a slave to one of the worst people in Mecca, Umayyah, who used to punish him severely for his belief in Allah. And he would be patient, and he would always respond with one word, Ahadun Ahad. He is the one, He is the one. And he's referring to Allah. And Umayyah, being a polytheist, he did not like that. He was his master. So he said, take him out to the desert, lay him out on the hot sand, and let him continue to say those words. Put this gigantic boulder on him. Make him wear this metal armor so it'll be even hotter. And he stayed being patient, saying, Ahadun Ahad. The Prophet ﷺ, he said to him, O Bilal, I heard the sound of your footsteps in paradise in front of me. How did you precede me? How did you get there before me? What is it that you do? He said, there is no time except that when I nullify my wudu. Wudu is when you go and you make ablution before the prayer. He said, there's no time that I lose it except that I go renew it and I pray 2 units of prayer. 2 rak'ahs. 2 rak'ahs. And the Prophet ﷺ said, it is because of those 2 that you proceeded me to paradise. It wasn't a matter about white, black. It wasn't a matter about tall, rich, poor, free, slave. It was a matter about how much did you worship Allah. In that same dream, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, I came across this elevated square palace, and it was made from gold. And I wanted to know who it belonged to. So I asked the angels, whose is this house? They said, this belongs to an Arab. He said, I am an Arab. Whose house is that? He said, it belongs to a man from the tribe of Quraysh. He said, I'm from Quraysh. Whose house is that? They said, it belongs to a man from the nation of Muhammad. He said, I'm Muhammad. And finally he was told this belongs to Umar ibn al-Khattab. The companions, they tried, they put effort in, they had their hearts and minds attached to what they were doing and not just a quick ritual. Abu Bakr, when he went to go and free Bilal from Umayyah, he went up to him and said, will you sell me this slave that you had? So Umayyah put an inflated price on there. He put an inflated price. He said 1 uqiyah. Uqiyah was a unit of measure in which it would be 40 silver pieces. And at that time that was expensive. And then he said, no, you know what? 200. I want 200. And what do you think Abu Bakr said? That's too much. I'm not going to pay that. He went and he paid him. And immediately he freed him. And Umayyah was laughing. He said, you know you bought that and it was overpriced. He says, I got the better of you. He said, no, if you would have asked for 100 uqiyah, I would have still paid you. He didn't care about the money he was given, but rather he was waiting for the reward from Allah. That's what he wanted. What do you want from your salah? You want to stretch? You want to keep your body limber? No, you're doing act of worship. The fariḍah, the obligatory matters, people do them most of the time out of fear for Allah, out of fear from Allah. But there's something else you can do that you can continue to do until you get the love of Allah. Normally when we go pray, is it because we love Allah, or is it because we're afraid that if we don't do it, we'll be punished? Are we afraid that when we pray, do we do it because we want the reward, or are we afraid that we're going to be punished if we do not? Most of the time, it's they don't want to be punished. But the Prophet ﷺ, he said in a well-known hadith Qudsi, وَمَا تَقَرَّبَ إِلَيَّ عَبْدِي بِشَيْءٍ أَحَبُّ إِلَيَّ مِمَّا افْتَرَضْتُهُ عَلَيْهِ. He said in this well-known hadith that my slave does not draw closer or nearer to me with anything more love to me than that which I have made obligatory upon him, which is the prayers, the fasting, the hajj. He said, and that my slave will continue to do what? Nawafil. My slave will continue to do nawafil, meaning the extra things you can do from charity to zakat to extra prayers. He said, my slave will keep doing those extra things until I love him. And if I love him, I will be his eyes that he sees with. I will be his ears that he hears with. I will be his hand that he stretches it out. I will be his feet that he walks with. And this does not mean that Allah becomes those things, but it means that person uses his eyes only for what Allah loves. He uses his ears only for what Allah loves. His hand, it doesn't go forth to harm, but it goes forth to do good. His feet do not carry him to do harm, but they carry him to go do good. And he says, وَلَئِن سَأَلَنِي لَأَعْطِيَنَّهُ وَلَئِنْ عَاذَنِي لَأُعِيذَنَّهُ. And at the end of the hadith, he said, if he asks me, I will give him. And if he wants protection, I will protect him. If he seeks refuge, I will grant him refuge. So now imagine how hard we are working to earn more and more money. How hard we are working to provide more and more for our families. And the reality is that if we draw closer to Allah, we will be granted this bounty, this blessing, that if you ask, Allah will give you. If you seek Allah's protection and refuge, Allah will grant that for you. So when you approach your salah next time, think about this. Give yourself enough time to go and make wudu properly. Give yourselves enough time so that you can repeat the adhan. Pray the sunnah before. Pray the sunnah after. Say your tasbih. Raise your hands to Allah and ask Him for mercy and forgiveness. But if you are planning on going to your fariḍah, catch yourself. You don't need to expose what you do. Just catch yourself. What did I even read? See what you read at the end of that salah. And this is the way, brothers, we need to lift our iman. And when you do this, you find that you will have more and more love for Allah, and Allah in turn will love you back. May Allah make us from those that strive for goodness. May Allah make us from those that pursue righteousness. May Allah make us from those that are forgiven. May He have mercy upon us and raise our ranks in paradise. نسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى بمنه وكرمه أن يحبب إلينا وإليكم الإيمان وأن يزينه في قلوبنا ويكره إلينا الكفر والفسوق والعصيان. اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه. اللهم لا تدع لنا ذنبا إلا غفرته ولا هما إلا فرجته ولا دينا إلا قضيته ولا حاجة من حوائج الدنيا إلا يسرتها يا رب العالمين. اللهم أعن إخواننا المستضعفين في كل مكان. اللهم أعنهم واستر عليهم وارفق بهم يا أرحم الراحمين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين. وأقم الصلاة.